Okay, take 394. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Story Time. Today I want to talk about the etymology of overcomers. Etymology just means the study of words, but I'll talk about that in a moment. First I want to tell you a story about Ferdinand Magellan, the first man to circumnavigate the earth and prove that it was in fact round. Now Ferdinand was born in the 14th century in Portugal, and he wanted to find a westerly trade route towards the Spice Islands rather than the traditional easterly route. The thing is, everybody at that point in history believed the earth was flat. And so they thought if he sailed west that he would sail straight off the edge of the earth. But Ferdinand believed very strongly that the earth was round and that he could in fact succeed in navigating west, and that he would in fact go around the earth and not off the earth. He, if I can read a quote to you, here's something he says. In the context of all the doubt that was coming from the political realm, the king, the church, he said, "The church says the earth is flat, but I have seen its shadow on the moon, and I have more confidence even in a shadow than in the church." He made an observation about the shadow of the earth on the moon and was so convinced in his heart that he silenced all of the other doubting voices around him and set off to prove that he was correct, that he could in fact sail west. Now he went to the King of Portugal to get funding, and the king turned him down. He was denied, and so he ended up going to the King of Spain, which was Charles V at the time, and that king funded his expedition. He knew the journey would be perilous, but here was his mindset. "The sea is dangerous and its storms terrible, but these obstacles have never been sufficient reason to remain ashore. Unlike the mediocre, intrepid spirits seek victory over those things that seem impossible. It is with an iron will that they embark on the most daring of all endeavors, to meet the shadowy future without fear and conquer the unknown." After some serious navigational miscalculations at one point in his journey, his crew ended up adrift for several months, thinking they were close to where they wanted to be, but in fact weren't. And many of their crew ended up getting scurvy, starving, dying, or getting some type of disease because their water began to become septic. Miraculously, they ended up making it to the Philippines, where they reprovisioned, built relationship with the local aboriginals, but an altercation took place during that time, and Ferdinand was killed in an attack by the people there. His crew was almost fully decimated. In fact, I believe only around 18 crew members survived. They retreated and went back home, but they weren't without some goods from trading with the locals there. So they had a lot of gold and some very valuable spices, and ended up completing the journey and did find that westerly route. When they got back, the king essentially swindled them. They came all that way and made all that sacrifice only to be cheated out of the riches and inheritance that they had fought so hard for. So the reason I'm telling you this story is because I want to talk about the nature of the overcomer. Ferdinand was the archetype of a person who overcomes. He had everything against him: religion, politics, friends, basic reason and logic. But he had a belief within himself because he saw that shadow on the moon. He believed that that route was possible, and so he made a choice to silence out the voices that were saying no, it's not possible, and choosing to believe that it was possible. And so let's get to that root of what is an overcomer. Well, if we do an etymology study on the word overcome, it's made up of several 12th century Old English words. Words like to conquer, which is a warring term, to prevail, to have victory, to subdue, with kind of an overarching implication, which is actually to smother, like putting out a flame on a candle. Now the interesting thing is when we look at that, we see that most of those terms are actually associated with war. Victory, conquering. I'd like to suggest that there is a war, but it's not against people, it's against ideas. The battleground is in fact our minds. And the overcomer chooses to have a vision for something and then makes a very intentional choice to trust their conviction, and they go after it. It doesn't mean it's always going to be true or right, but sometimes you have to believe something so strongly that there's no compromises. I want to suggest to you that your nature is an overcomer. There are battles in your mind that you're destined to win, to conquer, to prevail in, to overcome. There are dangerous ideas that you are destined to smother. Ideas that pull your sense of worth away. Ideas that attack your value. Ideas that attack your potential to achieve something great, that break you down. Those are the things that you have the ability to conquer. And so I want to encourage you to meditate, or in other words, to think about, to ponder the nature of what does that mean to be an overcomer. And then when you're faced or confronted with a situation that is difficult, that puts ideas in your mind that only lead to you being defeated, put on that kind of hat of the overcomer and remember what an overcomer does, what an overcomer is. Be encouraged by that and then be that, because you can overcome your circumstances. Some people would look at Ferdinand's story and become discouraged because they'd say, well, he died, his crew suffered, and they got nothing for it. But I want to suggest to you that in fact, they single-handedly changed the course of human history by proving that the earth in fact was round. And you can change the course of your history with just one single voyage. So what does success look like to you? I think it looks like saying yes to the journey, which requires bravery, and stepping into the nature of that overcomer. It doesn't mean your circumstances are going to go away. It just means that you've won the battle in your mind, and that changes your destiny. Or, in other words, changes how you navigate the circumstance. The seas are rough all the time, but how you navigate them depends on what's going on inside you. So hey, just wanted to bless you guys. You are an overcomer by nature, and I'm excited to see the things that you will conquer in this life. You are destined for fantastic things. So I'll catch you next time on Storytime. The Zero to Hero Club is dedicated to inspire and change the lives of those dealing with hard circumstances. We aspire to see you live vibrantly and become the true hero you really are, so you can be that, overcome, and change the world. Come join the club at thezerotoheroclub.com. Let's write history